By the end of this video, you'll know exactly who to play and who not to play in the new Overwatch 2 meta. In this video, I'm going to be going over all the patch notes from the November 12th update, all the hero buffs, and all the hero nerfs. And at the end of the video, I'll tell you which is the best hero to play as in this season. On the buff side, we have Mauga. Our first one's Mauga, and Mauga's overrun ability, the cooldown was reduced from 6 seconds to 5 seconds, and his charge movement has increased by a full 15%, which is quite massive due to his recent underperformance in the meta. Now we move on to Doomfist. Doomfist has two changes. He has a quality of life change and an actual buff change. The first is the quality of life change. His rocket punch now makes it slightly easier to trigger a wall slam, which should result in fewer enemies that will slide against the wall. And then his actual buff is now that Doomfist Meteor Strike also has a buff. Doomfist ultimate cost is 8% less now, and healing per second while in the air increased from 75 to 90, which makes his playability a lot more forgivable as now he has higher HP. Our next buff is a Hanzo buff. His Dragon Strike now deals damage to buildable items like a Torp Turret, Symmetra Turret, or a Symmetra Portal. But that's pretty much it. Kind of just a quality of life change for him. Alright, now with our fourth buff, we have Tracer's Recall ability. Tracer's Recall ability cooldown has gone from 13 to 12 seconds, which basically just reverts the previous nerf to Tracer. It's because her Pulse Pistol does less damage. So, due to the damage drop off of the Pulse Pistol, now her recall time, the cooldown has been decreased a little bit to kind of balance it out because Tracer's been a little bit underpowered in the current meta and all. But, I mean, Tracer's still a solid pick overall. Really not standing out as a top tier pick, though, at the moment. And now for the final buff. The final buff is Kiriko, and Kiriko has by far had the biggest buff this patch. Kiriko's kunai now have a recovery time of, instead of 0.55 seconds, it's now 0.5 seconds, which should bring Kiriko to be much more usable than before with her kunai. I mean, it is 0.5 seconds, but no, it's 0.05 seconds, but still, it does make a difference. And then Kiriko's Swift Step, now the cooldown was reduced from 8 to 7 seconds due to the limited mobility that Kiriko had. Then the final change is Protection Suzu. The Protection Suzu cooldown was reduced from 15 seconds to 14 seconds. So overall, some very good changes. Kiriko is by far the most changed hero this patch, and all of them have been buffs. There is not a single nerf put onto Kiriko. Now that we have the buff half of the video, now we're going to move on to the nerf half of the video. But before we do that, I must ask you, make sure to like and subscribe because I do not get a lot of support making these videos and I'm trying to get into this niche, so please help me and do me a favor and like and subscribe. And we are going to name the top 3 buffed characters for this patch thus far. And number 3, I'd say Mauga. Alright, just although there were 2 buffs, really Doomfist had more impact. I would say Doomfist is number 2 for the most playable and buffed characters for this patch. And of course, number 1 is indeed Kiriko. Kiriko was buffed all around, from playability to survivability to movement to everything. Kiriko has now become more of a team player and really emphasized itself as a support, because before, Kiriko kind of just didn't impact the team enough to where it wasn't really support, wasn't a DPS. It was kind of just there. It was a waste of space, really. And that was really especially disappointing for a lot of the Kiriko players that spent money on the game and just when Kiriko was completely unusable. We have 3 major nerfs today, one of which is Junker Queen. Junker Queen has 2 major nerfs. One is Jagged Blade projectile distance is reduced from 0.2 to 0.15 meters, which means the devs are just trying to balance out her kit. That also means that, it'll be a little less reach than you're used to. Also, Adrenaline Rush, the wound self-damage healing multiplier is reduced from 2.5x to 2.25x, which means that you're losing out on 0.25x, which is not too bad, but it is the hardest hitting nerf for Junker Queen in a while, so, you know, just be on the lookout for Junker Queens, because that nerf will come in handy. The next nerf on this list is by far the most minor of them all. Junkrat's Concussion Mine. Junkrat's Concussion Mine cooldown is increased from 7 to 8 seconds. That just slightly limits his mobility and ability to combo with burst damage. So, generally he'll be dealing slightly less DPS, and he'll also have less mobility. So, good news for all those players that hate Junkrat. Bad news for people like me who love Junkrat, but generally, it shouldn't be that bad. Alright, at this point we've reached the last nerf in the video. Juno's Orbital Ray. Juno's Orbital Ray ultimate cost is increased by a whole entire 10% because Juno has been a top tier meta support and was overperforming the last season due to Orbital Ray. It's one of the most powerful and most impactful ultimate abilities, and they decided to nerf it. It's not nerfed into the ground, just costs 10% more. Shouldn't be too bad overall, but it definitely will be easier to play against Juno now. But that's the only nerf for Juno. So, again, not nerfed into the ground, just a moderate nerf, I'd say. And without further ado, this marks the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and I'm going to leave my gameplay up here, just finish the match. And I appreciate you watching, giving me your time. Make sure to like and subscribe. Have a good day.
Just leave.
Adaptive circuits engaged. Zarya.
Oh, you want to hear this?
Now I
Kneel to this beat. Up here. These beats are go quick. I think we can do some good vibes. I want to hear this.
Forward score.
Oh, let's break it. Damn! My This is my favorite part.
2 minutes for me.
Report back. They've taken possession of the
Group up with me.
Conscious free.
Let's group up here.
Helden sterben nicht.
Having this time.
Adaptive circuits engaged. Genji. Rocket satellite lifted.